Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a model family that was first introduced in 1969, and that is the Heuer Monaco. But since 2009, we've had this, an evolved version that is much more sporting, the Tag Heuer Monaco 24 Calibre 36. And this is a bigger, bolder, but also functionally distinct Monaco chronograph that exists in the rarefied realm of shock-protected watches. And by that, I mean watches with substantial internal shock suppression systems. So the watch is large for Monaco at 40.5 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. That's the distance across without the crowns. It's actually quite thick. It's 17 millimeters. That's the price you pay for water resistance, automatic winding, a chronograph, and shock resistance all in one case. From lug tip to lug tip, 49.3 millimeters, and it has an idiosyncratic 22.5 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now we will throw this on my wrist, and you can see every Monaco wears large. Many of them are under 40 millimeters, and that can lull you into thinking those watches are small, when in fact they wear full-sized. This is 40.5, but I'm going to advise you it wears more like a 43 to 44 millimeter round watch. You can see just how thick it really is, and it's even fairly broad across the wrist for a Monaco. This is a large timepiece, and I think you need a wrist of my size or larger to wear this well, so 16 centimeters circumference and up to really get the best fit, feel, and aesthetics. The strap is fully integrated, and you can see this is an upscale piece from Tag Heuer because they don't universally spec alligator leather on their sports watches, so you can see large rectangular scale, a matte finish, a broad folded edge, a little bit of bolstering, probably also a plastic insert to make sure that it perfectly matches the contours of the case flank. Fully integrated, no daylight between strap and case. There's a pronounced taper as you move away from the case, and then on the underside, you can see the strap's been rubberized. So to protect the strap from the moisture, sweat, heat, grit of the wrist, you have this rubber buffer. It also makes for a very supple feel against the wrist. Of course, you can see there are no perforations in the strap because the Tag Heuer clasp system, which you can see here, is polished, media blasted, and brushed. It uses a crimping system. So you actually run the strap through this little crimping device, you get your size, and then everything closes for a very clean, integrated look with the excess length hidden under the clasp and the other side of the strap, so there's no strap minders here. Also, it is a twin trigger release, so you have to press both triggers to pop it open. It's a real sports watch clasp in that regard. Of course, the historic Heuer name and technique d'avant-garde, TAG, Tag Heuer, since the mid-1980s. And then the case is, well, it's Monaco, but more so. As you can see, there are a lot of unconventional elements, starting with these fixing bolts on the four corners of the watch. They're an integral part of the shock suppression system. There's a combination of sharp lines and then some more gradual and subtle curvatures here, and there are quite a few of those curves. The more you look, the more you see. Satin and polished, and you can see there's a little bit of a bevel to the profile. And then the crystal is a remarkably complex piece that's arced and cambered over the top. And then from end to end, you can see that it actually drops into little wells in the bezel, giving a pronounced height. Now, we do have a crown that's a push down, but nevertheless, this is a 100-meter water-resistant watch. Let's take a quick look at the lume shot. The watch does have lume. You can see not the chronograph functions, but you can tell the time. And you begin to realize why this watch is so voluminous. You could see that the dial is floating inside the case. We have quite a few voids at the corners and quite a bit of void space. You can also see these shock absorbers, which use a combination of struts in steel and dampers in elastomer and carbon. And so these are actually what support the movement. Those are the only points of contact between the outer case and the movement itself, and they're designed to give this watch immense shock resistance. Now we have a combination of chronograph features, as you could see, chrono minutes and chrono seconds, and then at the base of the dial, we have a date, just to clarify that that is not part of the chronograph function. And of course, this being an El Primero caliber 36, that's what caliber 36 is at Tag Heuer, 36,000 vibrations per hour, Zenith El Primero. And you got to remember with the Zenith El Primero that the setting position is all the way out, and that you actually set the time at the intermediate crown position. And in order to avoid accidentally blocking the current date, we have this 3-date aperture, so you can see the succeeding and preceding dates and thus gauge what the current date is, even if it's blocked. 24 up at the top of the dial, of course, the Monaco, always associated with endurance sports car racing, and many races from the Nürburgring to Circuit de la Sable, all 24 hours. Le Mans and Daytona, probably the two most famous. And this is a motorsport style chronograph. Now it's 100 meters water resistant, highly shock resistant, and because of that enormous amount of buffer on the sides, you get a really good view of the El Primero. Now this is an El Primero caliber 400 doing business as the Tag Heuer caliber 36. So it's a bidirectional winder with a full wheel, but one side is weighted with a tungsten mass for winding, 50 to 52 hour power reserve. It does feature a quick set. It does not have hacking. That's not a traditional El Primero feature. Beats away at 10 beats per second or 36,000 vibrations per hour. It is a column wheel chronograph. You can see the column wheel in action. And then it is also a lateral clutch chronograph, and we'll see if I can do my best to show you the lateral clutch. It too is visible. The El Primero, I say this a lot, but it's always been one of the most beautiful automatic chronographs because many of them hide the chronograph works under the winding bridge. That's not the case with the El Primero, and with even more ability to see the periphery of the movement in this large, voluminous case, you really get the best of Zenith's work. Note the presence of both blued and polished screws. They have different functions to the Zenith watchmaker. That's why both are featured. The finishing here is mechanical but handsome and suitable for the price of the watch. And this is a fancy timepiece that really gives you a lot of functionality, a modern take on the Monaco. There are a lot of vintage nostalgia Monacos. This one's geared towards the 21st century and the future of horology. This is an action-packed watch for an action-packed enthusiast. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing.